Today, we're going to dive deep, and I mean really deep, inside our own bodies. We're talking about the trillions of tiny powerhouses that are literally fueling your life right now and hold the secret to your metabolic health. So let me just start with a question for you. What if your energy, your health, your risk for disease, what if it all came down to how well trillions of microscopic engines were running inside of you at this very moment? Because, well, as we're about to see, that's pretty much exactly how it works. And these engines, they have a name, mitochondria. You've probably heard them called the powerhouses of the cell, and for good reason. Their job is to take the fuel from your food, all the fats and carbs, and convert it into this high-energy molecule called ATP. Think of ATP as the literal gasoline for your cells. It's what powers everything from your muscles contracting to your brain thinking. So if these engines are designed to burn fuel, what happens when we give them too much? Or maybe the wrong kind of fuel? This brings us to the first part of our story, what a high-fat diet is really doing at the cellular level. For the longest time, the thinking in science was that in conditions like obesity, the mitochondria themselves were just broken. But what the research is showing us now is a little different. The problem isn't that the engines are busted, it's that they're being flooded with dirty fuel. Here's how that chain reaction works. You eat a high-fat diet, and your little mitochondrial engines just get overwhelmed. It's like pouring way too much gas into a tiny engine. This overload causes them to produce a ton of this harmful byproduct. Let's call it smoke. And that smoke directly gums up the works, making it harder for your cells to hear the signal from insulin. And that, right there, is insulin resistance. Now, this cellular smoke isn't just a metaphor. It's a real molecule, hydrogen peroxide, or H2O2. Now, your mitochondria are supposed to make a tiny bit of this, but when they're swamped with too much fat, they start spewing it out. And this isn't just harmless exhaust. It's a reactive molecule that can seriously mess up communication inside the cell. And check this out. This is the actual data. Researchers took muscle cells from both lean and obese individuals and measured this H2O2 emission. And boom, the results are stark. The mitochondria from obese, insulin-resistant people produced about double the amount of this harmful smoke compared to the lean folks. And you might think, okay, this is a long-term problem that builds up over years, right? Nope. Get this. The study also found that in perfectly healthy lean people, just one single high-fat meal could more than double this H2O2 smoke in as little as 4 hours. That's how fast our cells respond. So what's the bottom line here? Well, this quote from the research paper just nails it. That smoke, the H2O2, it isn't just waste. It's actually a signal. It's like a warning light on your dashboard, telling the cell, hey, we are overloaded with energy here. And it's that very signal that creates the direct link between the fuel in your engines and your body's sensitivity to insulin. Okay, so if the wrong diet can gunk up our engines, is there a way to clean them out? Oh, absolutely. And that brings us to the second half of our story, the tune-up. It turns out exercise is like a master mechanic for your mitochondria. And just like how fast the damage can happen, the fix can be incredibly quick too. One study showed that a single 45-minute bike ride at a totally manageable pace was enough to give these cellular engines a significant performance boost just a few hours later. So how do scientists measure this? They use a metric called the maximal ATP production rate, or MAPR for short. The easiest way to think about this is as the maximum horsepower of your cellular engines. The higher your MAPR, the more efficient your mitochondria are at cranking out that clean, usable ATP energy. But here's where the story gets another fascinating twist. It turns out that not all the engines inside our muscle cells are the same, and they don't all respond to that exercise tune-up in the same way. So in our muscles, you basically have two main types of these engines. First, there are the surface engines, called subsarcolemmal, or SS, which are right under the cell's outer skin. Then you've got the deep muscle engines, called IMF, and they're packed right in there with the muscle fibers that do all the heavy lifting. And here is the really great news from the research. For those deep muscle engines, the IMF ones, exercise works wonders for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're lean or obese, a single workout gives those deep engines a really powerful boost in performance. This table just lays it all out so clearly. Look at that top row for the deep muscle engines. Strong increase for the lean group, and a strong increase for the obese group. Fantastic. But now, look at the second row, the surface engines. While the lean individuals got a great boost, the response in the individuals with obesity was, Well, a lot less impressive. So what's going on here? It looks like those surface engines are just less responsive to the positive kick from exercise when someone is obese and insulin resistant. Scientists have a cool name for this: compromised mitochondrial plasticity. Really, all that means is that these specific engines have lost some of their ability to adapt and get better when you ask them. Okay, we've covered the fuel problem and the exercise tune-up, so let's put all the pieces together. What's the big picture takeaway for your health? It really boils down to this incredibly clear, powerful dynamic. On one side, you've got the problem. Fuel overload from our diet, especially high-fat foods, just swamps our cellular engines. This ramps up that harmful H2O2 smoke, and that is a direct cause of insulin resistance. But on the other side, we have the solution. Exercise acts as that perfect tune-up, boosting clean ATP energy and helping our body hear the insulin signal again. So let's lock this in. If you walk away with anything, remember these key points. 1. High-fat diets make your engines produce that harmful smoke before the engines are even broken. That's a huge deal. 2. That cellular smoke is a direct cause of insulin resistance. 3. Even one single workout can act as a powerful tune-up, boosting clean energy. And finally, 4. While that tune-up is great for the deep muscle engines in everyone, the surface engines seem to get a bit stubborn in individuals with obesity. Ultimately, what this science does is put you in the driver's seat. It shows us that our daily choices, what we eat, how we move, are the very tools we use to be the mechanics for our own cellular engines. The food is the fuel, the exercise is the maintenance. So the only question left is, how are you going to tune up your engines today?